Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Jordan here from Artisan Electrics. Thanks for watching, and if you do enjoy our videos, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos every single week. Now today I've been asked by a lot of you about becoming an OLEV approved installer. This is OLEV, the Office for Low Emission Vehicles. It's a government department under the DVLA that deals with the government grants for electric vehicle charging points. And as electric vehicles become more and more popular over the next few years, more and more people are going to want to install an electric vehicle charging point at their home. And so this grant scheme is available in order to help contribute towards the cost of the installation and charging point itself. Now, as an electrician, this presents an amazing opportunity for us because this is a very, very rapidly growing market, and it's something that can provide a lot of business for us if we position ourselves right now to take advantage of it. So people have been asking me, how do you become an OLEV approved installer? And that's what I wanted to run through with you today. So first of all, number one, the most important, you need to be a qualified electrician first. If you're not, then you can't become an OLEV approved installer. Once you're a qualified electrician, you need to take an additional course, which is the City and Guilds Electric Vehicle Charging course. Usually it's a 1 or 2 day course, and that course gives you the certificate that you need to progress onto the next stage of OLEV approval. So once you've got your City and Guilds and you have registered with an approved body, so you need to be registered with NIC, EIC, NAPIT, Stroma, something like that. You've got your EV charging course qualification, then you can apply to OLEV to be an approved installer for them under the grant scheme. And that means that you can claim back the grant money against the installations that you do. So say you do an installation for a customer, it costs £1,500. You charge the customer £1,000 and the government gives you the extra £500 towards it. Now the grant is capped at £500 for domestic installations, £500 per socket for commercial installations, and that's a slightly different scheme. So it's the Workplace Charging Scheme, WCS, that covers installation of electric vehicle charging points at workplaces, and the EVHS, the Electric Vehicle Home Charge Scheme, is the one that applies in domestic situations. So you can claim the grant back on behalf of your customer, and basically means that they pay less. So part of the cost is being covered by the government, which is great. But it is a process that you need to go through in order to be able to claim the grant. It's quite a lot of paperwork involved. So once you've got OLEV approval, you need something else as well. You need manufacturer approval, and actually that goes hand in hand. So for example, if you want to be OLEV approved, you need to be approved to install specific charging points. You can't just be approved to install any charging point. You have to have manufacturer approval to install their particular charging points under the grant scheme. So for me, I did the EV charging course, and then I contacted Rolec, and I got approved by Rolec to be able to install their charging points under the grant scheme. And then I sent that certificate along with all my other evidence, the EV charging course, electrical qualifications, NIC, EIC registration. All of that gets sent to OLEV, and then they can approve you. And on their website, they'll list you as approved installer, and they'll list the specific types of charging point that you are able to install. Now you can install more than one manufacturer of charging points. So for me, I started with Rolec, but I also contacted Schneider and got approved to install their charging points. I contacted Zappi and got approved to install their charging points. And I contacted Anderson and got approved to install their charging points. And I'm currently in the process of getting approved by EO as well, which is another brand of charging point that I'd quite like to be able to install. So in total, I will very soon have 5 different brands of charging point that I can install under the grant scheme. Now, if you're not applying for the grant, you can install whatever charging point you want, but the customer's not going to get that discount, which is quite a game changer really for most customers. And if you are able to claim the grant but another installer is not, that gives you an advantage. So it's definitely worth becoming OLEV approved. So you can contact a course provider like Trade Skills for You. They're the ones that I did my course with, and the course was very informative. It was a 2-day course. This was nearly 2 years ago now that I did the course, so everything was quite new, and even the course trainers were a little bit confused about some things, to be honest. So I think probably the course quality has improved a lot in the last few years. And to be fair, the regulations are advancing, and with the Amendment 1 of the 18th edition, I think that EV charging regulations are going to change again, and things will become a bit clearer, because there is still a bit of mud in the water when it comes to certain things to do with EV charging, like whether you have to install an earth rod on a PME system, things like that. And the technology is advancing quite fast as well with regards to the charging points themselves. So you will find that over the next couple of years, it will probably get easier. But now is the time to get OLEV registered, because you set yourself apart from the competition, so to speak, by getting OLEV approval. Now, how does the actual approval process work when you've done a job and you're trying to claim back the grant? That's what I'll talk to you about now. So what you have to do is you have to fill out the forms on site with the customer once you've completed the job, and you need things like the name, address, vehicle registration, or if it's on order, then you need to know the order number of the vehicle, and you need to provide a copy of the order form for the vehicle. If they have the vehicle already, then you need to take a copy of the registration document. You also need to take a copy of the electric bill, because you're going to need to inform the DNO, the distribution network operator, that you've installed a charging point, because they need to take into consideration the extra loading that will create onto their network. So what I usually do is just ask them for a copy of their electric bill and take a picture of the little supply number. It's like a rectangular box with a few different numbers in. That's the number you need when you contact the DNO, and there's an Excel spreadsheet which you can fill out and just send off once a month with all the installs that you've done as a notification for the DNO. That is if the existing supply is sufficient. If it's, for example, a 60 amp main fuse, and you find that when you do a load assessment that the total load or the maximum demand of the installation is going to be over 60 amps when you've installed the charging point, then before your installation you need to contact the DNO and ask them to upgrade the main fuse, and you're going to probably need to do some extra work alongside that, such as upgrading the main tails and doing anything else to make the installation safe before you install the electric vehicle charging point. So as you can see, there's quite a lot involved. So you need to take 2 pictures as well to send as evidence for the installation that you've done. One picture has to contain the serial number of the charging point, because they have a unique serial number that is paired to the grant scheme, and that is vital that you get a picture of that serial number. And secondly, you need to show a picture of the charging point in place on the private parking space that the customer has, whether that be in the garage or on the driveway parking. If they don't have private off-street parking, then they cannot claim the grant, and they'll have to pay the full price. So that's a bit of a shame for people who live in apartment blocks and things like that, and they have communal parking, but that's just one of those things at the moment. That is the rules, so that's what has to be done. So you take picture of the serial number, the charging point in place, you take a copy of the vehicle registration document, which you have to send off as evidence. You have the DNO notification form you have to send off as evidence, and you also need the customer to sign. So you have to do a cost breakdown, and you have to say how many hours you spent on the job, how much your hourly rate was for that particular job. you put all your costs down basically. So the cost of the charging point, cost of materials such as cable, fixings, etc. Any additional costs like site survey you can put in as well. And then you've got your labor charge. All of that is added up in the cost calculation. And then you've got a basic, like a box on the form. All of these forms are available on the OLEV website, by the way. It's called Annex D, the form that you need. So have a look at it and you'll see what you need to fill out. But you've got a cost breakdown and then the calculation of this is the cost minus £500. This is what the customer needs to pay. And then you need to get the customer to sign 3 places on the document to say that they're happy with the location of the charging point, that your cost breakdown and calculation of hours spent is accurate, and that they are claiming as a private individual, not a VAT registered company, and that they do have private off-street parking. They have to sign a disclaimer thing to say that that is all true and that they are qualified to claim the grant. So there's quite a lot involved. Now, in terms of time, people have asked me, well, how long does all this paperwork take? And I would say that including the time back home at the office preparing the package that you need to send off to OLEV, you would probably need to allow 2 hours per installation for paperwork, especially if paperwork is not your forte and you find it a bit of a pain. I would say 2 hours will give you enough time to do everything. You have to submit a monthly claim to OLEV for that month's installation. So it's not like you have to send off for every installation separately. You just send them a package of forms and documents and then they pay you month by month. But it does take, on average, about 2 months for them to actually pay you the grant money. So that can affect your cash flow. So just a little bit of a word of warning there is that if cash flow is tight, you might need to build up a bit of a buffer in your account, because you are going to have to wait a couple of months before the grant money comes through, and it's a substantial amount of money usually. You know, if you've done 2 installs in a month, that's £1,000 that you're waiting for. If you've done 4, that's £2,000. It's you know, not nothing. So you do need to factor in cash flow and how that will affect your business and make sure that you don't come unstuck there. One thing that you can do is buy the materials through a wholesaler, and then you've at least got 30 days credit to help you with cash flow from that point of view. What you can do, which is what I've done, is I've got an American Express card which I use to pay my materials from the wholesaler. So at the end of 30 days, I pay it with the Amex card, and that gives me another 30 days. So I've got like 60 days in total before I have to pay for the materials. Not that I actually need it, but it just gives me a buffer in case, which is always helpful, because you never know what might happen. If you get sick or something and you can't work for a few weeks, that buffer might be just the thing that you need to help you survive as a business and not go under. So if you've got any more questions about the OLEV grant scheme, how to apply for it, the process that you need to go through, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to answer your questions as best I can. I'm going to do another Q&A at some point about electric vehicle charging installation in general, but I thought I'd just get this video out now because this is one that you really keep asking me about a lot. I think a lot of people are hoping to get approved and they just want to know what the process is like. So I hope this video has been of help to you. If it has, please just tap that like button. It helps to show your appreciation for this video, and we'll make more videos like it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel for more great videos coming soon. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day.